Hey guys, I had some questions sent in to me in the last month about Medicare, Social Security, and one about having a green card. So let's start off with the Medicare questions first. Do I still have Medicare Part B? No, I don't. I canceled that prior to coming to the Philippines. I called Social Security and I asked them to cancel it. They told me I had to download a form. It was Social Security form CMS 1763. I filled out that form, I mailed it in. On the form it asked me a question: what was the reason for me wanting to cancel my Medicare Part B? And I told them I was leaving the country. Now back then there was COVID, nobody was going into the Social Security offices, there was no one to talk to except people on the phone, and it was always a long wait to talk to someone on the phone. So for you guys, if you're planning on canceling your Medicare Part B prior to coming to the Philippines or wherever you're going to retire to, go into your Social Security office, make an appointment and talk to them and tell them the reason why you want to cancel it and any other questions you might have about Medicare at that time. But it's up to you to find out everything. Another question was, can you reapply for Medicare once you've canceled your Part B? Well, my total understanding is yes, you can re-enroll during the re-enrollment period or the enrollment period of Medicare. And if you do, there's a penalty. And that penalty is 10% for every 12 months that you have gone without paying your Medicare Part B. Now, I remember watching a video with Bud Brown when he talked about how he got his Medicare started again during the enrollment period, and his monthly payments are close to $300 a month now. Well, Bud was over here for a long time. So let's say you're over here 10 years. So at 65, you cancel it. 75, you end up going back to the US and you want to re-enroll into Medicare. Well, you're going to have to pay 10% penalty for every 12-month period you were gone. That would be 10 periods. That'd be 100%. So you'd end up paying double the Medicare premium. If you're only gone 1 or 2 years, it'll be a 10% or 20% penalty. But this is something you have to decide. There's no correct answer for this. You have to decide what your finances are like. This is a personal decision for you to make, to cancel your Medicare or to keep paying for it. If you really need the money to survive here in the Philippines and you don't have any plans to go back to the US, then go ahead and cancel it. But just remember that if you do change your plans in the future, that there will be a penalty involved. The best thing to do is, before you cancel it, make sure you go into the Social Security office, talk to them, make sure you understand what all the penalties are. You know, if you're gone 3 years, 5 years, and make sure you understand the re-enrollment period, when you can re-enroll back into Medicare. I believe that period of time is usually at the end of the year, and then it would take all the way until June until you actually are eligible to use it. But go into the office and ask these questions. This is up to you. I can't tell you what to do with your finances. I don't know how much money you need. But my recommendation is, if you don't need the money, go ahead and keep paying for your Medicare. That's a mistake I made. I canceled it, and I believed at the time when I canceled it there weren't any penalties. But that's my fault for not doing my due diligence and finding out everything. I might re-enroll into Medicare when the re-enrollment period starts up. I've only been here less than 3 years, so it's going to be a 20% penalty for me. Can you use Medicare in the Philippines? I'm not sure about that. I don't think so. I'm going to say no. If you're traveling, you're a U.S. citizen and you're traveling places and you're on a tourist visa, you're in Canada, maybe you're into Mexico, and you have a medical emergency, you might be covered under Medicare if you haven't been out of the country too long. Make sure you have some travel insurance for the initial few months that you're gone. I don't know that. Check with your insurance agent. Also see if there's an Advantage plan that you could add to your Medicare for traveling if you're out of the country. check on this stuff. Talk to your agent, you know, the guy who is selling you your Medicare. Find out, tell him, hey, I'm going to live in the Philippines for 3 months. What am I covered, if anything? Find out, ask somebody. Ask your insurance agent. That's the best place to get any advice. You, as the person who needs Medicare, you're the one paying the bill. You need to find out the answers yourself. You need to do your homework and your due diligence. Don't trust everybody to know all the answers. We don't know all the answers. Mike, if I get in trouble and I need to use my Medicare and I can't use it in the Philippines, I'm going to go to Guam. Well, I've heard that a lot, and I did some research into going to Guam for your Medicare. That's risky, man. That's risky. Guam has less than 500 beds. If you go there, you can't go to the VA hospital, which is the state-of-the-art hospital there in Guam. You have to go to a public hospital. And I believe there's 2 of them on the island of Guam, and total is under 500 beds. And my understanding is the medical care in Guam isn't that great. It's no better than here in the Philippines. If I had to go and use my Medicare, if I had it and I had to use it, I would either catch a flight to Hawaii or I'd head to the west coast of the U.S. and get it taken care of there. That's just my opinion. Some questions on Social Security. How do I get my Social Security? Well, mine is direct deposited into one of my bank accounts, and I get it every month. How do I get it here in the Philippines, you may ask? It gets deposited into my U.S. bank account, then I transfer it over to World Remit. World Remit sends it to my Philippine bank account, and that's how I access my Social Security money. Now, if I didn't have a Philippine bank account, I would just send it as a cash pickup. Do I pay taxes on my Social Security? Well, because I have some income through YouTube, through investments, I do pay taxes still. So I have to declare my Social Security as income, and I pay taxes on the total amount of my income. If you are just receiving Social Security by itself, I don't believe it's a big enough amount where you have to pay federal tax on it. And a lot of people have told me that if you're just on Social Security, you don't even need to file. My suggestion there, talk to a tax guy in the U.S. before you come. Make sure you know how you're going to pay your U.S. taxes once you get here to the Philippines. A lot of guys do it online still. You could use many different tax services that you can do online, and just give them your U.S. address and file your taxes as normal. If you only have a Philippine address, I know there's forms that you need to fill out to say that you're living in the Philippines. And you don't have to pay state tax because you're not living in any individual state. But also remember, if you have more than 10,000 USD in a bank account, or total in all your bank accounts, there are forms that you have to fill out for the State Department to let them know that you have that much money in a foreign bank account. You don't get taxed on it, but they want to be aware of money in foreign banks. They're always looking for money laundering and things of that nature. What do I think about doing a direct deposit into a Philippine bank account? Well, that's a great question, because that's something I'm in the process of doing. I have contacted the embassy, the Social Security Department at the embassy. I sent them an email, and the email address that I sent it to was fbu.manila@ssa.gov. And I asked them about, I want to do my Social Security direct deposit into my Philippine bank account. And they sent me some items that I have to get filled out and send back to the embassy, or to Social Security at the embassy. And those items are, they said I have to take to the BDO bank, because that's the bank I'm going to use, a blank endorsement letter and have it filled out, a form SSA-21, the change of address, and also a blank deposit sign-up form. All these were supplied to me by Social Security through the embassy. They sent it to me on an email. I downloaded the forms, and I'll be going to BDO Bank next week to start the process of getting the forms filled out and sent there. I just think having it deposited here in the Philippine bank is going to eliminate a few steps, and there's fees. Everybody touches it, everybody takes a little bit out. I think it's going to be better and easier for me to have it deposited directly into my Philippine bank account. Remember, if you don't like it after a while, if you decide you don't like using the Philippine bank, you can always transfer it back to your U.S. bank. The one thing I'm worrying a little bit about, and I'm hearing this from a lot of different guys, they have an account with Charles Schwab, they have an account with Wells Fargo. These accounts are getting closed because they're finding out these people don't live in the U.S. anymore, they're living overseas. And that might happen when you file with the embassy and you tell them that you're living over here. Or you file a tax return using a Philippine address. So I'm a little leery of having a bank account closed and locking up my Social Security for too long. I'm going to keep my U.S. banks active. I'll have everything else deposited into the U.S. banks, but I just want to get my Social Security deposited here. That's the money I live on. That's the money I use for my day-to-day expenses and my trips. So the rest of it's just basic savings in the U.S., and I'll live on my Social Security. I'll let you guys know how long it takes for them to start making the deposit once I submit all the forms. Living in the Philippines, what if you have a problem with your Social Security? Who do you contact? You know, we're far away from the U.S., you know, local Social Security office. Well, you're really not. And if you have a U.S. phone, you can dial 1-800 and the Social Security office. But here in Manila at the embassy, they have an office of the Social Security. And the phone number there, and I'll show that here, is a Philippine phone number, but it's only available 2 hours a day, 2 days out of the week. And they're not really good at answering the phone. You can book an appointment, but when I tried to book an appointment to see them, it was months and months out. The fastest way to contact anybody about Social Security is, again, at the embassy, at the Social Security branch of the embassy there. And the email address, again, is fbu.manila@ssa.gov, and you can contact them. And I'll also put the phone number up here for you guys if you need it, and the address. So that's who I would contact if I have any problems with my Social Security once I start getting it deposited here in the Philippines in my BDO bank account. This was a very interesting question. Someone asked me, Mike, I have a green card. Can I travel to the Philippines? Well, the answer is yes. But you got to have a passport of the country that you're a citizen of. The green card, American Permanent Resident Card, you can go back to the U.S. You can travel out of the U.S. You can't be out of the country for more than a year. And even then, I believe 6 months is really risky, staying over 6 months. Remember, your green card, the permanent resident card, gives you the right to live in the U.S. and work in the U.S., but it's not for you to travel all over the world on. But the easiest thing to do, if you have a green card and you feel like traveling around the world, is go ahead and apply to become a U.S. citizen. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Until next time.